T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What is up, everybody? Freaking out right now, so I'm trying to keep it together for the good of the show. I don't know what the hell just happened with the end of the second half there. To call timeout with 7 seconds to then punt. I'm losing my mind. Brian has been watching me probably lose it for the last minute and a half. So at least he's getting good content out of this.
Oh, it's entertaining.
I'm just staring at the screen and swearing. But anyways, week 13, trying to get you guys again with this continued playoff push and really get you and your teams to the promised land. So a couple of really quick things before we get to the actual players. One, again, Elijah Moore continues to do Elijah Moore things. I'm going to keep screaming about this until he's 100% rostered and started because it doesn't make any sense. Right now, we've seen him again with Zach Wilson doing the damn thing. Roster him and play him.
Corey Davis is out for the rest of the season, I think I saw.
Yeah. So I'm just going to keep screaming this from the mountaintops until someone listens. And then the final thing before the players again, this is where game theory and roster construction is huge in order to make it through the playoffs and win, right? Skill is the regular season. A lot of playoff is luck. So being proactive is huge. So this is a time to look ahead, that week ahead, and add that second defense. And anyone on your bench that is a clog, you have to get rid of for someone that's going to make you a week ahead and get ahead of your league mates in their waiver ads. So really be proactive on the waivers, not just for this week, but the week ahead as well. So starters off, Taysom Hill, right? Crazy game. He 25 points, right, in ESPN scoring with 4 INTs. So, right, it kind of just shows, frankly, how broken quarterback scoring is. He has an amazing end of the season, right? Jets, Bucks, Dolphins, Panthers, really good schedule. The hard thing is you're really playing with fire. So he has a mallet injury in his finger. It's not as serious as what Russell Wilson had that knocked him out. So he's going to try and play through it. His dual threat capability is huge, right? Definitely someone that is a great play if he's healthy because he can throw 4 interceptions and still put up 20 plus points. But just know you are playing with fire if you're going after someone like Taysom.
Yeah, next I have the Rams wide receivers. So I saw on Twitter, according to Adam Levitan, Cooper Kupp led them in routes with 41. Van Jefferson was right behind at 37. And then a limited Odell Beckham had 24 routes. So that transferred to 10 targets for Kupp, 8 for Jefferson, and 5 for Beckham. And I think Odell has sneaky elite upside going into the playoffs. If this was him limited, we saw that that he had that goal line touchdown. So he's seeing looks in the end zone, which is big, which that was weird. Stafford tackled Sony Michel only to give the touchdown to OBJ.
Could have used that Michel touchdown.
Yeah, that was a weird play. But I think we could at least kind of expect the Roberts Woods role, but maybe even better. I don't think it's that crazy to say that Odell Beckham is more talented than Robert Woods. So I think there is a little bit there's some upside here. So if you have OBJ or OBJ is someone you could trade for him real easily, I think there's some elite upside there for a playoff push.
Yeah, especially in Dynasty. He's not going for a lot. Next up, and then another playoff push guy that frankly is another trade target. I even wrote that down. CEH. So, right, coming back from sickness this week, they weren't gaudy numbers. I think he only put up 11, maybe 12 points in PPR scoring. But he's going to get work. And so the Raiders, Chargers, Steelers, and Bengals, none of those are scary defenses. So you want to talk about a great end of season schedule and someone that, yes, the Kansas City offense isn't fully Kansas City, but they are ticking back up, and they're starting to run the ball more, and he's going to get more and more work as he gets more and more healthy too. So, especially in Dynasty, like I recently traded a 2022 first for him straight up. I'm a contender, right? I feel like I just like, boop, I'll take that. Thank you very much. But if you're a contender, especially in a dynasty, I think he's a fantastic trade target to go get. A lot of people that drafted him, frankly, are probably low on him at this point because he hasn't been that one-on-one guy if that's where they took him. So you could steal him for pretty cheap, in my opinion, and get a great return.
That's a steal. Like, honestly, if you can get a late 2020 first or 2022 first for CEH or get CEH for that,
yep,
you do that every day. My next guy is Mike Williams. So we really figured out this week that Herbert really dictates his production, especially how good Herbert is passing deep. I think I saw that Herbert he has the deepest ADOT of any player this season or any player this week. And what did that translate to? Mike Williams week. So his targets, you can kind of count him in for between 5 to 8, 6 to 8 targets per week. But if he connects on those big plays, he's very hit. But if he doesn't, he's a massive miss. So I think he's someone that you want to have going into the playoffs, especially if you are an underdog. Because if he busts, you're getting 3 to 4 points and you're not winning that week. But if he booms like he was earlier this season and he gets 20 plus, 30 plus points, you're in a very good spot and you might be able to take down one of those 1 or 2 seeds in your playoffs.
Yeah, kind of live and die with Mike Williams. Also, it's super rainy and windy here, so for any reason I'm cutting in and out, I apologize. I'm far away from Buffalo, but I'm close enough that we're also getting pretty crappy weather here in, south of Boston. But next up is Josh Jacobs. So shout out to Tommy. We're going to talk about your guy real quick. Since he's been back from injury, he's putting up about 13. Yeah, he's a mid RB2 in points per game, about 13, 14 points per game. So he's producing very, very consistently. He's only gone under 10 points once since week 4. Now his ceiling isn't great. He's essentially a 10 to 15 point running back. But again, Cleveland, Denver, Indy remain like Kansas City, right? He has some pretty good matchups to end. And yeah, he's not going to be a 30-point scorer unless he randomly blows up, but he's going to be a really easy RB2 or flex plug and play where you can put him in there and feel confident that like he won't win you your week, but he definitely won't lose it. He's going to get you those 10 to 15 points, and especially something in the playoffs. Like if you can get some steady points and then build in someone like a Mike Williams for that boom bust play, right? That's where you can balance out the volatility with a safer play as well. So Josh Jacobs, end of the season, should also be a really strong play.
Did I also see Kenny and Drake is out for the rest of the season?
Yeah, so even more work for PPR purposes.
Yeah, so Josh Jacobs actually is a solid player. I agree with everything you said there. Next, I have just the Eagles' offensive play calling. We've talked about it a lot. We've hit on Goddard a few times. But Hayden Winks every week posts the pass percent and rush percent for teams. And this week, we expected to see more pass heavy without Jalen Hurts, but they still were only at 43%, which is is right about where they've been. So even with the god Gardner Minshew playing quarterback, they still didn't. Yeah. Man, that post-game celebration with his dad, if that does not make you happy, then you're a cold-hearted person.
Yep.
But I think if you look at the pass game or receivers in this offense, it's a lot like Mike Williams, where you're going to get some bad weeks, and you might get a bad week. But there's a chance these players are going to go off like Goddard did. Devonta Smith has had a bad few weeks, but I think he has a legit chance to boom here these last few weeks. He has excellent opponents to go up against. And so there's points to be had in the receiving end. And so I think these are players that you want to have on your roster if you are in the playoffs, especially if you're going against those big teams that have some of these elite guys, because these Devonta Smith and Goddard, just like this last week, can just go off.
Yep. So, right, we're hammering these schedules. Next, Devonta Freeman. So this is, quick shout out to Jax and Chalk in the Undroppables. They were talking about even this past week before yesterday, that he was a huge trade target for them in all of their dynasties for this end of season as a really cheap player and someone could help win. And what did we see yesterday? 8 targets for and he saw 69% snap share. Nice. But the week before that, right, he dropped down, but almost every week over the last like 4 or 5 weeks, he's been at least 60% or right around 60% snap share. Now we saw a little bump, this week. So he's absolutely someone that could take over that running back room for the last 4 weeks. Cleveland, Green Bay, Cincy, and the Rams. Again, a lot of other really good matchups there. Green Bay's playing a little bit better, but there's people to run on in those teams. So Freeman is, if you want to talk about scraping a cheap guy to go buy, Freeman is a great dynasty buy right now. And depending if your redraft league still has trades, easy trade to go get.
Then next, I have another running back that is, I think, going to win people leagues. Lenny Fournette. I think I saw he called himself Lenny for Fantasy on Twitter or some social media. The weird stat that I've seen floated around several times on Twitter today is that Leonard Fournette leads all running backs in receptions with 58.
That blew my mind.
He has more targets than any player on the Giants. So this guy, this is upside I never saw. And This is something that I had none of him this season, and I'm kicking myself for it. But he's just taken over that backfield. He had an 87% snap share. The closest running back was Gio Bernard, had 10%. And then Rojo had 3%. Rojo had 3% snap share. So he actually might be a league winner because he has an active role, a pass-heavy role, in one of the best offenses. So if you have Lenny and you're in the playoffs, good on you.
Yeah, man, that's I certainly missed on him. A lot of us did, trying to figure out, who it was going to be. So those of you that picked Lenny, massive kudos to you because you hit the jackpot. All right, so to end here, some really quick hits. Kyler Murray came back for the first time in a few weeks and just casual for a touchdown game.
Casual.
Very casual 4 touchdowns. Right, huge. And then, again, they're going for that, first round bye too. So they're going to keep playing. He's going to get better and healthier. For anyone concerned about Nuke, right, he was just coming back, or AJ Green or anyone else, he only threw 15 passes. So completely ignore any targets or even target share, right? He was just getting back to being healthy. This week, I think they have the Rams coming up. That's going to be a much bigger game to go off of. So Dallas Cowboys, Pollard and Zeke, their snap share actually stayed pretty much the same as what it has been the last few weeks. So for all of the talk about easing off Zach and getting Pollard more work, they didn't do that. I don't.
Well, didn't Jerry Jones say that Zeke was going to have a huge load this week?
Listen, we already made enough jokes about something like that with my snap share comment earlier. So
yeah, so Zeke didn't have this massive load that Jerry Jones said. So it's weird.
No massive load for Zeke. I still think Pollard is a great end of season guy because it doesn't take much for Zeke's already banged up. So one more nick here or there, Pollard immediately goes to that league winner type role. Talking about looking ahead, it's a this week edition, but if you play in a league that has defenses, especially high scoring defenses, the Chargers are playing the Giants this week. And currently the Giants quarterback is nobody.
I hear Jake Fromm.
Nobody. So
hey, he works for State Farm.
Honestly, they'd be better off running Barkley out of the Wildcat the entire time.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna go and pick up a defense, that's gonna be you're gonna have to pay up, but huge upside there. Total dynasty look, Jalen Waddle is absolutely smashing right now with Tua. You're gonna have to pay up for him, but in my opinion, I think he's a buy high player.
Yeah, I agree. If you listened a few weeks ago, his price is just going up and up. But
that's true too.
Yeah.
We did try to call it. We called it earlier, but if you're someone that wants to see it, now it's seeing and you got to believe it. But if you're going to pay up now, because it's not going to get cheaper next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks down the road. Yeah. And lastly, to end, to get us back to the game here, our Robbie Anderson of the Week award. Brian, this was your nominee, so I will let you take it away.
So this week, our Robbie of the week is Gerald Everett, who had 7 reception yards on 6 targets for 4 catches. He had 2 fumbles, and one of them was on the 2-yard line. And then he had a drop that led to an interception in the end zone. So 2 turnovers within the 5-yard line and another fumble, and yet the Seahawks still won.
I feel bad too because I really like Gerald Everett.
Yeah.
So this was a bad game.
That was terrible.
It was brutal.
Terrible.
Yeah. So there it is. There's our week 13 rapid reactions. Thanks for checking in. Thanks for following. I got a nice text from Tommy there. So big appreciated to Tommy. What's up, Tom? But with that said, yeah, I need to get back to the second half and start swearing at my TV again. But thanks for checking in. I'll see you guys next week.
Adios.